Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where numbers don't just add up, they tell a story. In today's video, I'm going to be solving some algebra questions that are typically found in the KCSE exam. All of these questions have a similar pattern, so please pay attention to all of the explanations in each question. Now, if you're here, maybe you're brushing up on a skill or you're learning these skills for the first time, this is going to be a learning moment. Now, with that said, my name is Peter. Grab your calculator and let's get started.
Hey, so the first equation we're going to deal with has exponents and it's an equation. So that means we need two concepts from math to solve this, and that's algebra. And we'll start off by rewriting 27 into exponents, and that's going to be 3 to the power of 3 parentheses x. And then the second term, we are also going to rewrite it, and we're going to have 3 to the power of 3x. We can separate them because of the laws of indices or exponents, and 3 to the power of negative 1. And then we just move that negative 4 over to the right side by adding it, and then we get 108. And then after that, we are able to multiply the exponents. 3 times x is 3 to the power of x, and then we just copy paste 3 to the power of 3x times 3 to the power of negative 1 is equal to 108. So far all I'm doing is just rewriting the original math problem. Now, I noticed that in the two terms on the left, I can substitute 3 to the power of x with a variable a so that it just looks a little bit simpler. So then I'll have a plus a over 3. The reason why it's over 3 is because of that negative exponent. It turns it into a fraction, and that's going to be equal to 108. Now, to get rid of that fraction, I'm going to multiply everything times 3. On the left side times 3. When you multiply a times 3 is 3a, and then that fraction, you only get an a, and then 108 times 3, simple arithmetic there. 8 times 3, 24, carry 2, so you'll get 324. So now when you look at that equation, it's a lot simpler. It's a lot simpler to simplify that. So we look for the like terms. So 3a plus a is 4a equals to 324. And then it's a one-step equation. Divide both sides by 4. And the value of a, when you divide both sides by 4, you get 81. Now that's not what we're looking for. So remember what a was. So since a is equal to 3 to the power of 3 to the power of x, that means we can substitute that a with 3 to the power of 3x and set it equal to 81. And then once you see that it's in that form, we need to rewrite 81 with a base 3, so it's going to be 3 to the power of 4. And now, because both sides have the same base, we can set the two exponents equal to each other. So 3x equals to 4, and then this is a one-step equation. Divide both sides by 3, and our answer is 4 over 3. So in this math problem, this is how it looks like. This is the graph. We want to solve where these two lines cross each other. So the first thing we're going to do is to set them equal to each other, and we're going to move 8x over to the left side and negative x squared also to the left side. So when you move that x squared to the left side, it's like adding it to x squared, so it becomes 2x squared. And when you move that 8x over to the left side, it's like adding negative 8x, and it becomes negative 24x plus 64 equals to 0. So now this is a quadratic equation. So we're going to simplify it by factoring out a 2. So the first term reduces to x squared, the second term reduces to negative 12x, and the third term to 32. Now when you divide both sides by 2, that 2 goes away and you remain with a simpler quadratic equation, x squared minus 12x plus 32 equals to 0. So now we look at what is the product, which is just 32, and what is the sum, and that is just the coefficient in the middle. So two numbers that you can multiply to get 32 are -8 and -4. So we want these same two numbers because when you add them, you get -12. So that means the factors for that quadratic equation are x minus 8 and x minus 4, and we set those two factors equal to 0. Now, when we want to know the solutions here, we have to set each factor equal to 0. So x minus 8 equals to 0, or x minus 4 equals to 0. Now, x minus 8, when you solve that, becomes x equals to 8, and the other factor, x equals to 4. These are the x solutions, but we need the y solutions. Now, since we know that y equals to 8x minus x squared, I just chose one of the two quadratic equations. I can substitute, if I know that x equals to 8, I can substitute x for 8, so I'm going to multiply 8 times 8 minus 8 squared. So 8 times 8 is 64, 8 squared is 64, y equals to 0. So that means the point is going to be 8, 0. Now, on the other hand, the other point, if x equals to 4, I can substitute 4 where x is. I'm going to use the same quadratic equation, so I'm going to multiply 8 times 4 minus 4 squared. 8 times 4 is 32, and 4 squared is 16. 32 minus 16 equals to 6, so those two lines cross each other at 4, 16. And these are the two points for that equation. Now, this expression here in this third problem, we're going to be simplifying it rather than solving an equation. So there are a couple of basic things that we need, and so one of them is the difference of squares. So one of those expressions is a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b times a minus b. So we always want to sort of try to simplify a math problem to get it to look like that form. So let's look at the numerator. The numerator is 3x squared minus 4xy plus y squared. That means that expression in the numerator can be rewritten as 3x squared as the product times y squared, and the sum is the middle coefficient, which is -4xy. So now we need to think of what are two terms that we can multiply to get 3x squared y squared, and two terms that we can add to get 4xy. So those two terms are -3xy times xy, and then if you add those same two terms, you'll get this sum. So now we write the math problem as 3x squared minus 3xy minus xy, and then we put the final term, which is plus y squared. And then now from here, we can group them. So I'm going to put 3x. I'm going to factor out that term from the first two terms, and then I'm going to remain with x minus y, and then I'm going to factor out a negative y, and in the second parentheses I'll have x minus y. So that means the first parenthesis will be 3x minus y, and the second parenthesis will be x minus y. You basically just remove one of the two identical parentheses. Now in the denominator, we have y squared minus 9x squared. Now this is a difference of squares. So that means in the first parentheses I'll have y plus 3x, and in the second parentheses I'll have y minus 3x. If you multiply those two parentheses, you're going to get back y squared minus 9x squared. So that expression, the expression that we got at the beginning, 3x minus y, parentheses x minus y, is going to be in the numerator, and then y plus 3x, parentheses, and y minus 3x, inside parentheses, will go in the denominator. And then now we can cancel terms that look similar. So one of those terms that looks similar is that 3x minus y and y minus 3x. So to make them the same, we can factor out a -1. And that essentially is going to change that 3x minus y into y minus 3x. X minus y stays the same. The denominator, y plus 3x, stays the same. And y minus 3x stays the same. But now we notice there are two parentheses that are the same. So those two parentheses will cancel each other. And then -1 in the numerator, parentheses x minus y, and in the denominator y plus 3x. And then here it's optional. You can multiply that -1 times whatever's in the numerator to have y minus x, and in the denominator y plus 3x.
If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below and let me know which math topic you'd like for me to cover next. See you in the next video. Cheers.